Hello and welcome to part 5 amongst this tutorial series. And this will be focusing on distribution, as that's where this market is going to be heading towards. Bitcoin, or versus the Bitcoin, this ABC coin is doing fine. Its major support has been established around the 15 handle, roughly around in here. Well, you can see the 15 number, and resistance obviously in the 30 handle. And in seeing such of thus the support resistance where it is, we know if it breaks below 15 and it's at 14, 13.7, 13.5 kind of deal, it's probably going to go down a bit further. That's why I'm not a big fan of buying in that area. So therefore, if I were to have buy orders, say at 13,610, let's reduce it down to 12. That's the type of thinking I see in viewing a market condition or adjusting to the message of the market. And the same on a breakout period, where if it breaks above it, probably going to go much, much further. Looking at it against the fiat and getting in, this is the entirety. This was the entry point, somewhere around 3 cents when Bitcoin was worth 250. It even fell significantly down below this 1 penny mark. We were looking at 0.7, 7/10 of a cent even down in here. So this is something to understand when you get into these markets. Even though they're down, they can go down further. Getting into today's current prices, which is the early parts of 2019, a lot of them are going to be in the situation, and you can buy a coin that's at 3 cents going down to 1, and if you see how this has happened before, it's best not to get too flourished about it. Just be ready to have the buy orders in, and sometimes you might want to welcome that, because when you get in, having this beforehand can oftentimes be better, because that means you can accumulate a lot more during such of those stages. And that now we see it at almost a quarter. How high could this go? How many dollars could it be at? But if you're to buy a literal penny stock, especially when you're talking something at 3 cents, and you're talking about it going over $1, and then that's incredible returns on investment. So as we move through on the trading and back to the daily chart on the left-hand side, we left with the sell order in at 28,975, which we can see on this day would execute. I have a buyback at 20,000. And place a new sell order at 39,875 with the upper order in at 59,875. So therefore, we still got 33,000 loads amount higher than where we were at the beginning. We're in the neutrality base really until it leaves about 50,000. Then it goes to distribution. As the market moves forward, it continues to go up, going near the 4 handle. And the top is exactly that, actually, 40,000 Satoshi. Hence, this is why I place the orders the way that I do. You can tell it's like, at least on the sell orders, it's like a selling retail. You go to a store, it's $29.95, or it's not $30, it's $29.95. And I do that because it just seems so often that it just hits those numbers like that. So that's why I go a hair below that even number. If I want to sell at 40, I'll sell a little bit below. If I want to buy at 20, I'll buy a hair above. Okay then. So 40,000 or 40,000-ish, we'll say exactly 39875 is sold for 4,000. So let's do a partial buyback, because we are in the neutral range, not the accumulation range, and we're not in distribution mode yet either, although we'll be buying back in distribution mode as well. But that will be, we'll see when that comes how that would be done. But for now, 4,000 multiply the price, multiply the rake, which is 0.9975, is equal to that of 1.591 Bitcoin. If we divide that that number by the 29,105, we get a number on 5466. So in between 4,000 and 54 and change is 46. We multiply that by 2905 for 1.342, which is what it would cost to buy at that level. And when we're selling for 159, well, that means there's a quarter extra. And as you can see on the bottom, profit take that remaining a quarter Bitcoin. We gained 600 on the inventory, as we can see that well, the price is at 29,105. There is no putting an order to try to buy lower. If I see when I go on the computer that I sold here and the price has fallen down to this point, how do I not buy? And the way I look at it is, I'm exactly where I was before at 29,105. The only difference is I actually have 600 more of these coins than I did before, and I have a quarter Bitcoin that I didn't have before. So things are good. At that point, I had a sell order south of 40, and well, I still do, because I would replace that for the exact same amount as it was before, 4,000 coins. And in April, the market moved right back to that previous high. And in formation of this within the 18 average, we can see how beautifully it corrected. Okay, so you sell 4,000 at that, just like it did before. Buy back 26,000. Is that spot. Next sell spot will occur in distribution mode, because we're looking at 59. As we mentioned before, breaking this resistance, it's probably going to go up much higher. And going to 50, that seems like it's kind of lame. I mean, I can do better than that, especially within how this bull market and cryptos have been faring. And 89,875 is your upper order. Bitcoin prices at this point are holding steady at 1,100, which means they're holding and staying in that area where it topped several years beforehand. You're at the stage where your next sell order is worth over 2 Bitcoins itself. Just the sell order, not everything you've already sold, not what you hold back, none of that, but just the sell order. And 29,670 coins, which is what you would be holding at this time, right now currently, would be worth 11.7 Bitcoin, or the area of about 13,000. Let's just think about that for a second. When we started this, it was investing 1 Bitcoin with an intent to put in more. So you put in another 0.15, another 0.1. So you put in 10% more, 15% more from what you started with. So it would take a lot to go from 1 Bitcoin to 2 Bitcoins the way things started out. And that's by design. As when you start off, you want to say, okay, I'm going to put in 1 unit. How deep do I go with the next single unit? And you want to go very deep, like even like a 7x, 8x move down for your next full Bitcoin, but even 4 or 5x at least. And within, we can see that the value is 250 then. So you've turned 250 plus a little bit more that you had. We'll say you were worth $600. You had like 2 point whatever Bitcoin at that point. Well, now your 600 has a portfolio of 13,000 plus all your buy orders that you have in Bitcoin as well. And they're accumulating pretty big at this stage. When you look at your order book, if you didn't remove them already, it'd be a lot of them. And then if either way, and you look at your hardware wallet, if you kept on moving them to that, ooh, wow, this is looking good. And as we move on forward, we've entered distribution mode. Price action was between 20 and 50,000 in neutral. We're at 65,000. 4,000 sold at 59,775. And buybacks are extreme. We're not looking for 30%, 35% reductions as we were before. When they're going up like this, I know they go down fast as well too. So therefore, I can, by doing such, I can go for great profit taking. This is the early stages of major profit taking right now. Sell 4,000 at 59,775. Buy back 4,000 at 30,000. That means you're going to have a profit take of over 1 Bitcoin, because that would be the difference of the two. You still have a tremendously high inventory right now of 25,670. Sell orders, we'll place them in at 79,875 and 119. So currently low end distribution, consider selling 100% of what you own, but it's got to be probably well over 200,000. And buybacks are strategic for very low declines. Bitcoin remains to hold the $1,200 level at this time, which is a very strong situation. Now, how you play these high levels, selling everything and always holding, that's your decision. One way of making sure you never sell out of something is keeping your net value the same. So if at a particular price point, say you're worth 5 Bitcoin, well, if this goes up to 99, sell what you need to keep it worth 5 Bitcoin. And when you do that, it can go up a million times higher and you can technically never sell out. But if you want to take the aggressive chance, we're moving in that point where it's a smart decision. Market moves further, bunch of days up in a row, nicely breaking out above this 18 average. And the sell order near 80,000 most certainly hits when it's closing at 90,000. Buyback, let's go 35. That's better than half off. Inventory now 21,670. You have about 5 sell orders left per 4,000, which is plenty. Because 20 divided by 4 is 5. So you can do like a sequence. Maybe you sell at 100, 130, 175, 230, 300. Before you came off of a sell at 80. So you'd be selling at about 20 over 80. That's about 25%. And then a 30% move from 100. And just moving it that way. Because selling out at 300, it's got to pull back. And even if it doesn't, your profit taking huge. And if you have something like that happen, well, oh my goodness, was this ever an amazing coin? And there's nothing wrong with taking profits, and especially extreme profits, even though more is available. So anyway, what I would be doing is putting in 99,000, a little under 100,000 as my sell order. I could sell now at 90, and I don't know if there's anything wrong with that either, even though it's only a 10,000 increase on 80, or about 13%. But 139,985, that would be about a 40% move. Things getting really extreme at that point, but that's what you want. And I might put a 100% sell at 300,000 area. So you've been doing the normal thing, sell 4,000, maybe 7,000 or 6,500 as an upper. So say you did like 10,500. Well, now I'd still have 11,100 or so, and I'd put that in maybe at just some large area, 300,000, 350. If it goes, great. And it's at a time where it's more realistic that it can actually hit on any given day. I mean, you can do it when you're sleeping, when you only have to check your computer like once a day. Of course, you're at spots where if you want to day trade at this point, go right ahead, but we'll talk more about that on the conclusion of this series. So $1,700 Bitcoin is the price at this point. It's booming. And that's putting Bitcoin into neutral stage because it was in a range before of 1,200 to 250. So it's now broken that resistance clearly, and it would stay neutral till several thousands, maybe 4,000 or 5,000. Then you'd have to consider it to be very distributional after that. 21,600 at 90,000 Satoshi, because you own 21,000. That's worth 19.5 Bitcoin. And in US fiat dollars, that is worth over $30,000. Notwithstanding all the pending buy orders, and there's lots of them. This would be magnificent. And if you're at the stage where you just want to buy whatever, do whatever on this, you got the funds. Nothing wrong with doing that. Oh, you want to buy 50 ounces of silver, you can afford it. And as the market broke through, 4,000 sold at 99,875. That would bring back almost 4 Bitcoin. And the upper hit as well too. Let's just assume there was 6,500 you sold there at close to 140 for a little over 9 Bitcoin. Down to 12,120 after selling almost half of what we own, which is what you want to do in distribution mode. And basically what this does, you having this upper sell order stops you from having to do the work yourself. And that as you were going up, if they weren't hitting and it goes up like this, you got to think, oh my goodness, You just have to say to yourself, okay, let's just take a bunch of what I got and sell. But you already did that with that 6,500. But if it didn't hit, you just got to go ahead and do something like that anyway. I mean, this is now getting to heavy distribution level. The net BTC is over 21 on these two sales, on the sales. Okay, so you take over half of such and profit take. Buy on small dips. I would consider canceling all buy orders at this stage. After all, we've gotten, by the way, the number should be over 12. Still, nonetheless. So the net BTC, because we had 9 plus 4, that's like 13. That's amazing. So you take half of such and profit take. Buy small on dips. I would consider canceling all buy orders and putting in new ones. 4. What you've already seen is so many buy orders get left in the dust. You're at a price point of 138,500 and you got buy orders in at 5,000 and 3,000 and 10,000. What are you going to do with them? And when we're selling what we are, you only want to put a small portion on it. We're at the stage now where you can say no matter what happens with this coin the rest of the way, you can't lose because you're never going to invest what you're profit taking here. You might only ever put another 5 Bitcoin in this or 4 Bitcoin, even less than that. And in doing that, you can't lose now. Well, sort of. So therefore, cancel these orders in that you had before, place some new ones in, and you can see these numbers are relatively low. When you're selling 6,500 and 4,000 at these prices, that's 10,000. So we got 4,500 on the first two, plus 3 is 7,500, and then 12,500, which is a little more, but when you're buying them at 80, 65, 55, and 40, that's just a small fraction of what you have done. So you've got all of this done. You now manage your Bitcoins, move what you need to wallets, profit take the way you need to do. Bitcoin is reaching, it's holding their 1,700, so it's doing fantastic, but you know it can go higher as well. So as we move forward, there's a retracement. This happens. Your sell order just missed. For the top was 169,000, which is lower than your order of 169,985. That's going to happen. So be it. However, the low did fill in your buy order as you had one in at 80,000 Satoshi. It barely went below that number, but you got it in. So therefore, you buy 2,000, and the inventory is now 14,120. Thus, it's still in distribution mode at 108, and pretty heavy because it's doubled out of 50. And that makes my sell orders, put my buy sell orders in quarters, or about 3,500 per trade. 3,500 times 4 is 14,000. But I got an additional 120, so I'll put my first one in at 3,620. And I would like to do one at the much lower high. So you put a sell order in well below this high. So somewhere up and down in here, well below or high. And then you can put one in at about, like say, we can see 158, 209, and 358. At this point, BTC prices are soaring to $2,000 after being $2,750 a couple days back. This altcoin ABC is currently worth that of 15.3 Bitcoins. Just the 14,000 you have remaining. This doesn't include, again, everything else that has been sold. And as we continue on, the market went higher. Oh, you wish you would have bought more, you say. Who cares? That's fine. Well, we're selling 3,620 at this 124 number for 4.5 Bitcoin and 3,500 at the 158. Well, that's a total of 10 Bitcoins, 4.5 and 5.5. keeping the inventory at 7,000. Really low number compared to what it was, but that's what we need it to be. Bitcoin price is at 2,500 now, which means after starting off with $250 or one Bitcoin, Bitcoin price is 10 times higher, you just sold 10 Bitcoins worth of this ABC code for Bitcoin, and in the value of that of $25,000. Your remaining 7,000 are worth 13.2 at market price. Now your sell order of 209,775 was missed as the high was 207. I would consider selling 2,000 at the market price because we see the last sell order we had was 158, and it's up to 188. So what can you afford out of the 7? And by doing 2,000, that's 2/7 of it, not that much, and you get 3.77 more Bitcoins. Okay, I mean we're in status of heavy profit taking, and that's exactly what this is at this point. So we can place 2 more sell orders at 2,500 each, at maybe around 250,000 Satoshi and 500,000 Satoshi. And I don't want to buy until about 75,000 and for maybe about 5,000 coins. And in doing such, that's when you figure I got 10 Bitcoin here plus the 3.77. So I've accumulated 13 3/4. And how much is 75,000 going to cost? Well, if we do the math on the calculator, 5,000 is how many we want to buy at 75,000 Satoshi. That's a 5-digit number, 8 digits on the decimal, so 3 zeros. And we'll just put 75 in. That's about 3 3/4 Bitcoin. That means that last trade you made, getting rid of 2,000, is really going to that. And the entire 10 Bitcoin here is profit taking. This is serious numbers. Buying things that you need, any type of whichever. It's not tremendous value because you realize Bitcoin's going up, but it's also at the area where you can consider, maybe I want to start hedging my bets. We're going to talk about that as we move into the next video. Hedging the bets is maybe putting some or selling Bitcoin for what would be at this time Tether and waiting for buy orders to go lower to buy them back. But you don't really want to start doing so at this price level. But there's nothing wrong with getting active and doing it. Okay, let's take 1 Bitcoin or a half a Bitcoin or 3/4 and do that. Let's take 2 Bitcoins, maybe a Bitcoin, buy some of this and that. And then you look into other altcoins that you may want to consider. Of course, a lot of them would also be overextended at this point because everything was shooting up at this price point. And you can still make some big coins if this thing goes up every time a sell order comes in. It's just magnificent. For if you're able to hit this 250,000 sale order, and we bring the calculator back up, let's take just 250,000 would be 0.025, 0025 with 8 decimals. And what we are for 2,500, that would be 6 1/4. That's more profit that would be coming your way. And then selling the next one would be about 12 at the close to 500,000 period. So the profit potential is so magnificent for what you're able to do at this point. Thank you for tuning in. The next part, we're going to talk about post distribution and how we're going to handle the future buy orders that come in here, the market volatility, and Bitcoin prices over the next few months. I know it's not really a spoiler, but they go higher. Because it was 25 at this point, it's going to go up 8 times more. So as we move into the end of the 2017 year, how would one protect their portfolio? We're going to be getting into that measure in the next video. Bye-bye.